and good evening. Hi, I'm Drew. Drutopia HQ, Drutopia Academia. Tonight, I am video about cooking, because in my pursuit to create a more utopic world, I feel that current economies exist in the favor anything that makes a profit. Governments back up those companies that make the most profit, that we can be the most powerful, right? Power and greed and profit, right? So this is how our economy works, unfortunately, fundamental levels, and I think that can be better. We can have better values conduct our economy. So in the pursuit of building that economy, I think that a online utopia would have to have its own bank. So if it's its own nation on the internet, maybe it would have its own currency, and now we have cryptocurrency to accomplish it. Some way of distributing that to other people and creating accounts, something like a bank. So I've never touched into this topic before, and I'm excited to see where we go. What's up, Zor and Zooters? I'm going live so late. My bad. You guys are awesome. Thanks for stopping in. Basically, the last thing I have to do my day, and I procrastinate. But thanks for saying hey. I know you guys are going to sleep. You guys are rad. But no, I will be streaming every day before midnight at some point. Now you're gaming, go bro, do it. And also, sorry, I know my chat lags. Yeah, here we go. Got some chatters in here. Anyway, I'm gonna watch. I started this video already without you guys, because that's just the type of streamer I am now. Like, I'm doing my own thing, and then I'm like, yeah, might as well stream everyone else in. But yeah, this is part of my mission of utopia, building that society. Need a bank. This guy bought a bank, and he's also going into personal finances, and he's talking about this app that gamifies your interest rate for your savings account, and basically gives you chances to get your interest rate higher than usual, and the average amount for your interest rate goes up. And this guy found it interesting and used $10 million to buy a bank. I'm still getting to that part, so we'll see. See, look, I tune in at next to midnight, and 3 viewers come in. I even post to Instagram. Okay. Sir, why your voice so soothing? Oh wow, thank you. It's just really soft right now, and I've had 2 of the honey citrus mint teas, you know, double teed up. Yeah, you got that notification. I know, that's why I gotta hook it up. Hook up other people with the notifications. Okay, let's start this. Good luck gaming, by the way. Hope you're... Alright, what game are you playing? Shoot 'em up. Get headshots, bro.
you would get with Ally Bank, for instance, at least not right now. Now, third, I was rather disappointed to see that right now you're only able to
Sorry, he's really loud. Hold
link one bank account for deposits and withdrawals, and it takes about 10 days for your money to clear before you can take it back out. Now, obviously, this is in place right now for fraud protection, so I get it, but still, this is hopefully something that should improve over time. Now, fourth, for anyone wondering, they are FDIC insured up to $250,000 through Evolve Bank and Trust, so Yada never actually holds your money, Evolve Bank and Trust does. This is very similar to how other cash management accounts use your money. For example, Robinhood uses Sutton Bank, and many other banks do something similar to hold your assets. And finally, fifth, I'm sure there might be some skepticism around, how do we know these prizes are rigged? What if this is all a setup, Graham? And to make sure this stays 100% above board, after some research, all the prizes are picked and paid out by a third-party insurance company. That way, it's completely double-blind between the insurance company and Yada to make sure everything operates as it should, and no one could purposely pick the winning numbers or try to influence things in their
He could very well have a real T-Rex head on his table, but who knows?
favor. That's not how this works. This company has also been featured on Bloomberg and backed by Y Combinator, which is one of the most prestigious startup accelerators in the world. So I highly doubt they would try to scam anybody.
Wait, who's that?
Because they would just make way more money running. Been featured on Bloomberg and backed by Y Combinator, which is one of the most prestigious startup accelerators in the world. So I highly doubt they would try to scam anybody, because they would just make way more money running this as a legitimate business anyway. So anyway, after trying this out for 2 weeks, one Sunday came around and I got really lucky and I matched 5 numbers and I won $263.23. So in a moment of excitement, I texted Ask Sebi to thank him for his recommendation and tell him how much I've been enjoying the app. Well, unbeknownst to me, Ask Sebi asked if I was interested in investing in this company as an angel investor and taking a small piece of ownership during one of their first rounds of funding. Now, I've never
Zor, never reacting to MasterChef until Gordon Ramsay has some better food or makes me some.
Anything like this before, but I've always wanted to be involved in some sort of startup or some sort of concept that gets people to save more money. So I decided to take a very close look in the company, its founders, and their business model to see if this is something I could get behind. Because let's be honest, as fun as the app is and as cool as it is to use, fun does not pay the bills. That's when the research started, and the business model behind it is pretty interesting. They're based off the report that 40% of Americans are unable to cover a $400 emergency expense, yet they spend on average $1,000 a year in the lottery. So Yada aims to bridge that gap by incentivizing people to save more money through a prize-linked system that makes putting money away exciting. It also pays them a higher interest rate than they would be getting at other banks, and it incentivizes them to go back on the app regularly to check in. This concept is nothing new either. The United Kingdom has a product called premium bonds, where their citizens can save money risk-free, and instead of earning an interest rate, random people are selected to win large prizes. And this is so popular that 33% of their entire population uses this, and they found it beneficial in getting people to save more money. Other academic studies have shown that prizing savings accounts actually encourage people to save more money, because psychologically, it's a lot more appealing to have the small chance at earning a lot of money than the guaranteed chance at earning very little.
Kind of cool that he did some research, and I'd like a system that instead of giving me 0.6% interest a month on my account would put me in a raffle, and a legitimate raffle seems, I don't know, I'd take that bet, I guess. Nothing that great about savings accounts nowadays.
To have the small chance at earning a lot of money than the guaranteed chance at earning very little. And for someone with $400, earning 0.8% on their money, which works out to be $3.20 per year, is not as exciting as saving that $400 and then having the small chance at earning all the way up to $10 million. Simply put, psychologically, offering this system brings about much more financial awareness and saving than a traditional bank account, and that would be something I would gladly stand for. In fact, in South Africa, they found that the inflow of money into prize-linked savings accounts came partly from people cutting back on their purchases of national lottery tickets. And even though the chance at earning a jackpot is extremely small, it still increased savings rates substantially, whereas otherwise that money would be spent. Although from that, I think the proof is in the results. Yada Bank launched in early July out of a beta, and since then, from purely word of mouth and referrals, they've grown a substantial amount of new users. And I could back this up from my own experience of downloading the app, using it for a day, finding it really cool, and then sending it to everyone else around me. That was before even realizing there was an investment opportunity here. Back then, it was purely out of excitement of being able to earn more interest using this than at Ally Bank, and then being able to potentially review it in a future YouTube video where I could give my thoughts on it. So after looking over the business model and understanding the psychology of how this helps people save,
at least this guy's consistent. He's like, I had a vested interest in making a YouTube video about the app that I was going to test out, so I kind of got excited about it. He mentioned that multiple times, even after he also mentioned he's now an investor in it. So I appreciate that he's not trying to hide that. I don't know, this is my first video with him, and any finance advisors I'm always going to be skeptical of, honestly, but I see why he bought a bank, so we're here.
more money, and after speaking with the founder of the company to see his plans for the future, I decided to invest an undisclosed amount, and now I could officially say I am a small owner in Yada Bank, which is unreal to ever think that I could say something like that. Because just a month ago, I had signed up for the app after watching a YouTube video on it and seeing a whole bunch of comments asking me to look into it. And now I'm sitting here as one of their investors, so yeah, dreams come true. And real talk here, but I've always thought it would be so much fun to own a bank or be a part of some sort of financial service that helps people make or save more money. At the end of the day, it's all about learning how to make saving money appealing to an audience who ordinarily would not save money. And this fits that perfectly, while also giving you a fun spin on things and also paying you a higher interest rate than you would be getting from almost any other bank. Even if that means they have to pay a high amount of interest upfront to you to get you as a customer, to me that's just a normal cost of customer acquisition. And if I enjoy the app myself, I am more than happy to put my money where my mouth is by keeping my savings in the app and also investing in the company itself. Not to mention, this is just the beginning, and I'm fully expecting them to grow and expand as they get new users on the site. Unfortunately, I can't share with you any details on this, but trust me, there's a lot in the works on this. And I also have so many other ideas in terms of where this could go and what they could do, so stay tuned on this and follow it closely.
I'm sure that benefits him a lot. You know, the little, like, what is it? The cue card, the title card of this video. He's like, I put a undisclosed amount of money into this bank, and it says I just bought a bank, and then the title card has $10 million on it. Like, are you disclosing roughly the amount of money that you invested? Isn't it right there? Or is that just an arbitrary number? And also, he totally tricked me at the beginning of the video by standing in front of just in an empty, like, at a physical bank and being like, I bought a bank. It's okay. Already not really trusting this guy, because also
I enjoy the app myself.
He's an investor in the app. Anyways, I'm not going to go into my skepticism about this guy right now. That's a little unnecessary for everyone involved. He wants the views. Yeah, he does. Because if his channel is big, then more people are going to download Yada. Yeah. And, you know, his investment will be worthwhile and turn a profit. You know, good for him. And if they're able to provide a service that's better than other banks, like, that's cool too. I'm about that. I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure these other banks are not giving us great deals. They're just noticing that everyone needs a bank anyways, and like everyone is just forced into a banking situation with someone, and everyone can keep their prices super low. because the demand is super high and the supply is privatized. I watched another guy say, like watched another video of how to buy a bank. He said that you have to have, what was it, between 15 and 30 million dollars to just have as a cushion to legally start a bank in the US. But if you wanted to start a bank in like the Dominican Republic or Dominica, I forget, it was $1 million, or there was one country you could start with $500,000. Yeah, but I guess I need to learn more about, how does banking work between cryptocurrency and each cryptocurrency manufacturer a bank within themselves? Each coin, how do you bank? Maybe how type in dumb questions into the search bar and smarter answers come up, right? How do you bank crypto? The Economist says, could digital currencies put banks out of business? Banks to avoid for crypto? Scary truth about Bitcoin, and Edward Snowden is talking to us about Bitcoin? That's juicy. Wonder what that's about. I feel like that's a watch later one. Still in December. My book. Ben Shapiro has an opinion about Bitcoin, but that's rich. Bitcoin is going to zero. The hidden threat. Everyone's got the real truth. Better than Bitcoin. Why central banks are racing to launch digital currencies. Oh, this is probably educational in some way. I'll do that one. Getting educated today, boys. Utopia Academia.
When cryptocurrencies emerged just over a decade ago, the talk was of a decentralized utopia, a way of moving money around that avoided the...
She already said it. She already said utopia. Let's go. It's a dream, boys. Let's
usual middleman. Today, things are moving in a very different direction.
Around the world, central banks are racing to create their own versions of digital money. And nowhere is this happening faster than in China.
This is going to happen, and those countries that trial it and test it earlier will probably be in an advantageous position.
One very obvious negative element or motivation that you can think of is the application of surveillance and monitoring.
I think this is a global race and we cannot afford to not be part of this effort.
In this video, we'll look at how the rise of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin triggered a radical rethink about what money actually is and who controls it. How central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, could disrupt existing power dynamics in the financial system, and what all of this could mean for you, the consumer.
But first, some background. You've heard of Bitcoin, Ether, Dogecoin and the like. These are cryptocurrencies designed to allow you to pay for stuff without any government.
Those are kind of the big three, which is awesome. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin. You have to keep one of the meme ones as the big one, I think, honestly.
Or bank being involved. They're based on blockchain technology, a kind of digital ledger that records transactions in a chain. It's hard to tamper with because doing so leaves a trace elsewhere, potentially for everyone to see. That transparency is one of its most promising features. In the past year, backing from high-profile figures like Elon Musk, as well as established payment companies like Visa and MasterCard, have given Bitcoin in particular a massive boost, sending its value shooting up, but often swiftly back down again. The rapid rise of cryptocurrencies initially left governments and regulators scrambling to respond.
There was a
I wonder where you can get these like metal Bitcoins. Because they're kind of fun, because obviously they don't exist. Now I kind of want one. Be kind of sick. Birthday present? Hello? Would you? Or do you want a Bitcoin? A physical Bitcoin?
lot of discussion around
'Cause it's ironic.
how this Bitcoin
Dirty hipster.
currency would be used for money laundering or like for terrorist activities, and people were worried and they couldn't understand that the infrastructure technology of blockchain was actually an amazing way to remove intermediation.
Meanwhile, the private sector was spotting an opportunity. In 2019, none other than Facebook arrived on the scene, promising to create its own version of digital money that wasn't volatile like Bitcoin.
I believe that it should be as easy to send money to someone as it is to send a photo.
The plan, a so-called stablecoin whose value would be pegged to a bunch of established currencies. The project, originally known as Libra and since
Fair enough.
renamed DM, raised a lot of eyebrows.
Most central banks were really scared at the beginning when they heard about this project. Okay, there will be a new asset that will be adopted by 2 billion people from day one, and it will compete with our domestic money.
The idea of a big tech company becoming a major player in the financial system wasn't the only issue.
It's because you're holding your phone in bed, dude. Can't get comfy. And the light from your phone is hitting your eyes. Just kidding. I know you probably couldn't fall asleep before then. Take some melatonin. That works for me sometimes. No, before then.
The governments had with cryptocurrencies. They were also worried about what widespread adoption could mean for their ability to implement monetary policy. Here's why.
Right now, central banks have the power to respond to what's going on in the economy. If things are sluggish, they can lower borrowing rates. They can even just print more money. If things are overheating, they can raise rates. They can also make rules about how much cash private banks need to hold in reserve.
But all this falls to pieces if people are no longer using the traditional currencies that central banks control.
I feel that if the role of a central bank is to keep the financial stability, I think this would happen not by ignoring what's happening out there, but actually implementing new technologies, embedding them in your system and trying to be globally competitive with innovative solutions and give more options also to the citizens.
In other words, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Over the past few months, central banks have been racing to develop their own forms of digital currency.
A central bank digital currency, I think, would be a way of, to some extent, controlling the potential negative impacts of having, Facebook money or Amazon money.
Basically, central banks are approaching us to do some pilots and tests of how we can build a CBDC, how we can design it. And so we've been working with a dozen of central banks on building such CBDC networks, which involves the central banks, but also the domestic banks or payment service providers.
And if there's one country that's responded especially decisively, it's China. It recently banned homegrown banks and payment giants like Ant Group and Tencent from handling cryptocurrencies. And in the meantime, it's been very busy creating its own version of digital money, one that it can control. Hundreds of thousands of people in China have already taken part in trials of the digital yuan, spending their government-issued coins in Chinese outlets of Starbucks and McDonald's. And next year, things are set to go a step further.
The Chinese government already has plans to have Chinese citizens abroad use the digital yuan for transactions for retailers. But imagine, I think one really interesting event that we could watch is the 2022 Beijing Olympics, because they have pretty, it's been announced, ambitions or plans for foreign visitors to use these systems, to participate in these broader pilots.
The digital yuan.
Why? Why are they trying to like expand it so much? Such a weird like thing when governments are pushing new technology. I don't know, but
Is programmable, meaning that it can theoretically be given an expiration date. That way, if the economy's flagging, people can be easily coerced into spending.
I think this probably plays into the Chinese government's push behind, trying to have consumption-driven growth. I do see a little bit of pushback. At least on the forums, people have talked about like, what does that actually mean? Does that mean I have to spend certain money? Like, I don't have a lot of control over how I spend my money.
It also means that for the first time ever, the government will be able to track citizens' transactions in near real time. The rather confusing term being used to describe this capability: controllable anonymity.
Controllable anonymity, to my understanding, it promises a kind of horizontal anonymity. So you can think about the counterparties that are involved in a transaction can't necessarily access each other's personal information, but there is no promise or no guarantee rather of vertical anonymity. So any kind of user information can be readily available for the government. So I think that obviously has surveillance implications, even though that's not necessarily in the official guidance documents.
China's full steam ahead approach.
that's crazy. They're basically like taking the technology of cryptocurrency, which has a blockchain, open source, no traceable, like, I don't know, transactions like that, and then basically taking all of that stuff and making it traceable for the government. Just like, China seems scary, man. I mean, one hand seems good, your society going pretty well, things work, but then it's just kind of creepy at the same time. Over here, like the opposite. Things don't work really well. And it's just like the government's incompetent and stupid. And I mean, people do get creeped out by the government, but like, imagine the conspiracy theorists and like schizophrenic like conspiracy theorists that exist in China that just must crop up every day because they actually live in a place where the government does control your actions, like we pretend that it does, the US.
Comes at an already tense time for geopolitical ties. Trade conflicts, questions over Beijing's handling of the pandemic, not to mention reports of widespread suppression of minorities in Xinjiang, are all putting a strain on international relationships.
Which brings us to another crucial aspect of this story: power within the financial system.
Right now, economic sanctions are one of the main ways of dealing with political and trade conflicts. Think American sanctions on North Korea and Iran, or EU sanctions on Russia following the annexation of Crimea. Sanctions are enforced by stopping financial institutions from handling transactions linked to certain individuals, assets, or regimes.
Some commentators have suggested that China's digital yuan could enable the country to avoid Western sanctions by lessening its dependence on the US dollar. Others, though, say those concerns are overblown.
That's a headline. It's an attention grabber. I think it's in the very, very long run, perhaps. But my thinking is like, whether China piloting its own national digital currency could eventually unseat the role of the USD. For this to be true, I think there are a few conditions that have to be present. So first of all, I think the Chinese RMB actually has to be a preferred currency for transaction, which currently it simply is not, at least compared to the USD.
It's a fair point. While there has been a lot of discussion about the dollar's waning dominance, it does still reign supreme. In 2020, nearly 60% of all global foreign exchange reserves were held in US dollars. China's yuan, in contrast, made up just over 2%.
Bam.
So as China charges ahead, what is the rest of the world up to? Well, a recent survey showed that 80% of the world's central banks are exploring their own versions of digital currency.
Major Western
Didn't
powers
we just
like the
watch a
United
video
States.
like a few days ago about that idea that the US dollar was just like not gonna be, was doomed? Man, did it really go down so bad from 60% of the world?
States and the United Kingdom are in the research phase. As for the Eurozone, the European Central Bank recently announced a multi-year project to create a digital euro. Along with China, South Korea and Thailand are already testing out versions of digital money. Canada, Russia, Venezuela, Brazil and South Africa are all working on development. Fun fact, the only country to have already introduced a CBDC is the Bahamas.
Largest central banks are even more cautious than the others, but they are forming working group, task force, assessing the opportunities, what are the benefits for the individuals, what are the risks for the banks, etc., etc.
And in the case of the European Central Bank in particular, there's nothing like a bit of competition to speed things up.
So it depends which is the country that uses a digital currency. And you understand also that if this would be the case with China, we have every reason to invest more into having very fast digital euro, because a Chinese yuan would be used the biggest platforms like Tencent, Alibaba, MasterCard.
So the pace may differ from one country to the next, but when it comes to the question of rolling out central bank digital currencies, it seems to be less of a question of if, but when.
Control over monetary policy and geopolitical wrangling are just some reasons central banks have for developing digital currencies. But from a consumer's perspective, is there an actual point to them?
The point of central bank digital currencies is in some ways to simplify and enhance the efficiency of the payment system that we have today.
If you've ever tried to send money abroad, you'll know that it can sometimes take an age to clear transactions. Proponents of CBDCs say that a new internationally compatible system would vastly speed things up. This is an especially big deal for the millions of families who rely on money sent home from relatives working abroad. Another group that could benefit are the 1.7 billion people in the world who currently don't have a bank account.
And private commercial banks don't have very much incentive actually to give lower income people bank accounts, particularly if they don't have a secure income, partially because they don't want the risk of that person not being able to pay back their debts. Now, if you had a central bank digital currency, again, you could put into place legislation and rules to ensure that everyone would have a bank account. So that would be, from a financial inclusion perspective, I think it could be a step forward.
Legislation, rules, if you think all...
And then you give everyone a bank account, then you give them a basic income for your country so that they can participate in the economy and have starving people. That would be cool. I wonder if they're working on that. I feel like if countries are trying to put cryptocurrencies into effect, it's probably likely that they'll see the benefit of everyone having $1 a day to spend, and they'll implement some kind of basic income for their people to go out and use. Keep that economy lively, moving. I'm just saying, it's much better than them not using it in the economy, trying to do it in their fancy ways. Like literally, the economy is just citizens buying goods and services. They can ensure that and see it move on a daily basis, every person to person. They love the shit out of a basic income. My professional thought. Whistle? Watch that back.
Although it sounds like we've come full circle, you'd be right. After all, the technology that underpins cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is designed to be decentralized and anonymous. So where does a CBDC fit into that narrative?
We use basically the blockchain infrastructure to monitor the supply, to know who owns what, and to record transactions. But everything related to identity would be kept in external system managed by the banks, the central banks, or the payment service providers.
This is exactly the difference that we have for Bitcoin. It will be like using your credit card for a consumer, and for a user, it will ensure the anonymity, but this doesn't mean that we cannot keep the trace of the transactions.
But that's the very aspect that some people are uncomfortable with, fearing that these traces could give governments too much power and information about citizens' spending, similar to the way big tech companies already mine users' data today.
So the incentives for a big tech company.
I'm like, so the government becomes a big tech company. You don't like, you can still use Bitcoin or Dogecoin instead of the US crypto or whatever, you know? You can just trade it and spend how you feel safe. But the fact that it would exist didn't just like and surveilled and just like be an immediate no. I mean, we're just surveilled anyways, like get over it.
To issue a monetary token, a very high from a sort of gathering data, and people might even prefer a central bank digital currency if there was sort of a design mechanism in there that prevented the government getting hold of personalized data on what you were spending your money on.
At the end of the day, a lot of this comes down to trust. Who do you want to control and safeguard your money? A central bank, a social media company like Facebook, or maybe nobody at all? The answer to that question could well determine our future relationship to money. If you have any thoughts on this, let us know in the comments below. And if you'd like to watch any of our previous videos, you can check them out on our playlist right here.
The audio of that video, I could have done as good of a job with that audio. Really disappointing. The worst part of the video. Bitcoin beyond the bubble. Bitcoin doc. Now I want to see how to make your own cryptocurrency. Create your own cryptocurrency. 15 minutes. Programmer explains. Does he explain in code? Your own coin. Quick, easy, and cheap. I actually don't want to play-by-play of how to do it. I honestly just want to know how it's possible. How to make a cryptocurrency for less than $2. I see lines of code. 101 guide to crypto research. I created my own cryptocurrency in 48 hours. Tell me the story, bro. Let's go, bro. How'd you do it, bro? I'm Broy 101.
Have you ever thought about creating your own cryptocurrency? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, whatever coin you're talking about.
Guy knows what's up.
There's always someone who started it. They don't just create themselves out of thin air. In case of Bitcoin, it's Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody really knows who he or she, the group, might be. But many are estimating that Satoshi Nakamoto has access to around 1 million Bitcoins. And at a current market price of around $30,000, that's around $30 billion. Same goes for Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum. Depending on how the market performs, he's worth around $20 billion. And that makes him the world's youngest crypto billionaire. Now, I'm not sure if we can get to that amount of money, but in today's...
Are you telling me that if we made a cryptocurrency for this Drutopia project and it took off, that just like I could set aside money in the coin and then it would put it on the market? Interesting. Uh-oh, we got a moral dilemma on our hands.
Today's video, I'm gonna take you from absolutely nothing to creating our own cryptocurrency. We're gonna name it, we're gonna create a logo for it, we're gonna make a website to transport.
That's the worst parts. We're gonna name it the cryptocurrency. Dude, tell me, how do you name a cryptocurrency? Like, bro, I've just been like, I've done all the coding. I've figured out how to develop this cryptocurrency and I'm just stuck on the name. Man.
Why this coin is so much better than any other project out there. And of course, we're gonna make a cinematic trailer, and in the end of the video, we actually...
Dude, this guy's teaching us how to market cryptocurrency. This is sick.
Actually going to generate 1,000 units of our own cryptocurrency. So it's very, very exclusive. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the hype going. So I hope you guys are ready for this one. And let's dive right into the video.
Stop. And he ducked out of his video like a boss. Oscar. My name's Oscar, but I have
first
an
of all,
accent.
we of course need
Oscar.
a name that immediately catches your attention when you first hear about it. Now, luckily in times of the internet, there's a guy who created a shitcoin name generator. I'm not saying we're creating a shitcoin here, but kind of. So let's see what he comes up with. Easy Lambo. That sounds so much like a shitcoin, almost too perfect. Easy Hodl. Hodling is boring. Nobody wants to hodl anymore.
Please, is this guy being serious?
FOMO. Time.
He's like reviewing shitcoin names. He's gone through like
that just sounds so stupid that people just
okay,
have
Money
to buy
Gains
it.
is good.
Money Gains is born.
There you go.
Okay, now that we have a nice name, we also have to make sure that there's no project like this already out there, and of course that the domain is free. So let's Google a bit. Alright, so there's this 3-year-old YouTube channel making Forex tutorials.
Dude, this guy's really doing his research. He's a hard worker, you know?
If
you're working hard to make a cryptocurrency,
pay somebody to make a nice logo.
This guy, you really deserve it. Oh wait, he's already paying a Fiverr guy? Wait, okay.
Moneygains.org is actually free. So let's register that. Boom, and now it's time for the logo. So let's head over to Fiverr and pay somebody to make a nice logo for it for 35 bucks. Now, since we are on Fiverr already, I thought about buying a cinematic voiceover for our trailer, and this guy here has the perfect voice. $55, let's go. Logo.
Dude, this guy is making money moves right now.
And the voiceover should be ready by tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to do some research on how to actually create the cryptocurrency. And of course, I'm gonna make a nice little website to present the whole project.
No, that's what he leaves out of the video.
Okay guys, it's 24 hours later and we just got the logo.
This is hilarious to me. So he's gonna go over his cool logo options he got back from his Fiverr guys, right? That's super cool. Then buys a website, and then the epic trailer. Nah, dude, this is going to create the most hype. Society is broken. This video is proving that to me so hard because this guy's 100% serious about moves. I know. Difference between token and coin. Now, this might be something.
Happens. So get yourself some gains. Money Gains at moneygains.org.
Well, if you wouldn't buy the Money Gains token after watching this trailer, I don't know what's wrong with you. But in all seriousness, we still have to generate the tokens. And why am I speaking of tokens here explicitly and not of coins? Well, those are two different things. Coins are all the cryptocurrencies that have their own blockchain, like Bitcoin, for example, or Ethereum. Now, to create your own blockchain, that's actually quite complicated, and we're not going to do that. Instead, we are going to build a token, and tokens are built on already existing blockchains, which makes it much easier, of course. Now, for example, what we could do is create an ERC20 token on top of Ethereum. We could also use...
All right, I have to go back because I might not learn anything more than that graphic that he learned from. So let's see, what's the difference between coins and tokens? A coin is a digital currency to the physical currency. It is a digital asset issued to a particular project. A coin operates on its own blockchain with its protocol. As a source, tokens are used for payments and signing digital agreements. On
already existing blockchains, which
Sorry.
makes it much easier, of course. Now, for example, what we could do is create an ERC20 token on top of Ethereum. We could also use the Tron blockchain, Binance Smart Chain, or Polygon. Now, since the creation of the token is usually connected to a fee, it can be quite expensive to create a token. For example, on Binance Smart Chain, easily a couple $100. But on Polygon, for example, it's very, very cheap compared to the other methods. Now, one thing before we jump into the steps, Polygon used to be called Matic. So if we're talking about Matic or Polygon, it's the same thing. And now let's create the token. So step number one to create the token is first installing MetaMask. If you have no idea what MetaMask is, it's a wallet where you can deposit cryptocurrencies to. And now if we open it, we can see that we can use different networks. For example, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, as I said before, but we can also add a custom network such as Polygon/Matic and fill in the following information. I'm gonna put it in the description for you as well, so don't worry. This now allows us to send and receive tokens, funds on the Polygon/Matic network. And now let's jump to step number 2. So the next thing we need to do is move a bit of the Ethereum I have on my MetaMask wallet to the Polygon network. So we go on this website here, wallet.matic.network, connect our wallet and click on Move Funds from Ethereum to Polygon. As you can see, it shows my balance of Ethereum, so now I can select how much of that I want to bring to the Polygon network. I'm actually not sure how much we're going to need to create the token in the end, but I think $20 should be more than enough. And of course, we're paying fees here around $6.
Oof.
Now, after that transaction is done, we can see that we now have $24 worth of ETH, but on the Polygon mainnet. So that's a very important difference here. And now let's jump to step number 3. And that is converting the Ethereum on Polygon into Matic. As I said before, it costs you fees to create a token, and on Polygon we use Matic for that. So now we're going to use zapper.fi and click on Exchange. Then we select the ETH and Matic here and turn everything into Matic. We click Exchange again, MetaMask asks us to confirm, and boom, now we got Matic. Step number 4. So now that we got Matic, we can start coding the token. Now I want to be very clear here, I have absolutely no idea how to code, but I found this YouTube tutorial and it basically tells you to open this website here. I found this YouTube tutorial and it basically tells you to open this website here called remix.ethereum.org and create a folder named token.sol. Then we copy this code here from this other website called OpenZap.
Okay, this video got heady and nuts. But apparently, you know, all the steps are right here. But to meme so hard at the beginning and then go into this part of the video, there's like 10 steps.
Zeppelin.com, change the 6 to an 8 and name our token by replacing this line here and this line. So in our case, we're gonna name it Money Gains and the ticker, the short symbol for it, is gonna be MGZ. Now after that, we click here, compile the token, click here and select Injected Web 3. We select our token contract and then we can choose how many tokens we want to generate. So in case of Money Gains, which is hyper exclusive of course, there are only going to be 1,000. But of course they can be split into pieces, so we need to add around 18, not around, exactly 18 zeros after that, because that's kind of the standard for cryptocurrencies. Now after that we click on deploy and MetaMask opens and we can see that it only costs us around 0.0012 Matic, which is, I don't know, less than 1 cent I think, to create a token. So it's insanely cheap. Now we can confirm and now the token is being generated. Step 5. So now that's the last step to make our coins visible in our MetaMask wallet. So what we need to do is we need to copy this link right here and then go to the Matic Network Explorer and paste it in. Then we click on the token MGZ, Money Gains, and we can see the market cap, oh surprise, $0. The price, also $0, and the total supply. Now we go to the contract address here, copy that, go on MetaMask, click Add Token, paste it in, click Add Tokens, and boom! Crypto money has been generated, guys. Honestly, I expected it to be way harder. So now we have this token, Money Gains token out there. Only cost me a couple of cents. If we calculate the Ethereum fees in, then it's like $6. But we only have to do that once to get Matic. So it's super cheap to create the token. I don't know if I can sell it now or what I can do with it without getting into legal trouble. Maybe I can send you guys a couple of Money Gains. So paste your address in the comments. If I can do that, I'm definitely gonna send a few out there to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned something new.
Okay. At least I learned something new at the end. Thank you, Oscar. $1,000 Bitcoin. I gotta see how people expand in the comments, because yeah, how do you sell it now? Matter that it's not a coin, that it's a token? I want to know more about that. This video, how to add your coin to marketplaces. Love the. Also, how would you ensure that one person cannot buy the entire supply? How do you, like, I guess he'd have to go buy it from himself, right? Shares of it. God, I'm so out of being able to market cap. Falling. Ask my bank for $10,000. I just showed them this. It's a. You can just buy Matic in fees. That's what I was thinking. I was like, why is he buying like Matic with Ethereum. Oh, good night. I think that's a good night. Shh. Good. Okay. If anything, but I did like it. Save it. So owning crypto token. Bye.
Let's say you're wanting a new way to get around. Well, the way that I see it, you can either buy your own car and have to manage that car, like keep it up to date, change the oil, replace the tires, all that stuff. It's overall responsibility to keep that car because it is yours. Well, the alternative is that you could rent a car. This means you can borrow a car for a monthly payment, and in that case, you can use it for whatever purposes you might need. You just pay the owner the rent for using that car, and then you don't have to worry about any of the issues. Depending on the different factors in your life,
No one rents a car month to month. That's a bad analogy. Should have just chose houses, but go on.
You would have to choose the one that best fits your needs and which one was wiser to go with. For example, you may not have a bunch of cash to buy a new car outright, or maybe you were just super busy and you don't want to take care of the maintenance. Well, if you think of this analogy, it's pretty much the same as the differences between a coin and a token. A coin uses its own blockchain to keep track of all the data, which in our car analogy would be owning the car. When it comes to a token though, you are using someone else's coin's blockchain as your infrastructure, while you basically pay rent. When you create a token, you don't have to create the blockchain, write the full code, and worry about how it should be validated. Instead, you just create the token and it runs on that blockchain. The best example for this video would be Ethereum. Ethereum is its own blockchain that both stores value and validates transactions. Ethereum's team has been working very hard the past few years on improving the entire system, updating how it works, and patching vulnerabilities. An Ethereum token, or an ERC20 token, uses Ethereum's blockchain's capabilities as its backbone and infrastructure. For example, Basic Attention Token is an ERC20 token built on the Ethereum network. Now, the team decided it was not large enough to create their own mainframe, but they wanted to create a system where users could reward the creators that they follow in a simple manner. Without going too deep into it, the Basic Attention Token team can focus on providing a great product, that is, the Brave browser, a web browser that automatically replaces a website's advertisements with advertisements that reward the creator with Brave. If this sounds confusing, we are actually creating creating a video on the Brave token soon, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications if you enjoy these educational animated videos and you want to reward our hard work. Anyways, by creating a token, the Brave team could rely on Ethereum's network to provide safety and stability while they focused on their own product. Also, you should know that a team of developers can migrate from a token to a coin if they decide that their project is growing quick enough. If we think about Crypto.com, they recently just launched their own mainnet, which is a fancy way of saying they launched their own coin now, which is now validating their own transactions. See, they used to have a token, but it got so popular that they decided to create their own blockchain and branch off. So here's an important thing. You can't convert a token straight into a coin. You can create a coin that functions the same way and then create a bridge that will allow users to swap out their previous tokens for the new coins. In some cases, some coins like Leo are tokens on multiple networks. For example, Leo is on the Ethereum network, the Binance Smart Chain network, and the Hive network. Another important thing to know is that some coins are represented as tokens on other networks. For example, a few days ago, I bought something called Binance Peg Ethereum token on the Binance Smart Chain. I did not actually buy Ethereum, but instead I bought a representation of Ethereum on the Binance Smart Chain network that mimics the price of Ethereum. You might be wondering why I did this. Well, a regular Ethereum transaction is around $20 right now. However, a transaction on the Binance Smart Chain is only 50 cents, so it is much more affordable to trade a representation of Ethereum on the Binance Smart Chain network. You can kind of think about it like if you buy a stock of gold. You own the stock, but all it does is represent the gold. At any time, you can cash out that stock for a piece of gold. So it's basically gold, at least for trading purposes. I hope that this isn't too confusing. So while that is a simple version of it, there are a few different types of tokens that we can use to categorize the purpose of each token. Let me go over a couple examples here, and maybe you'll get the hang of it if you haven't already. So number one, platform tokens. Platform tokens are created to support a decentralized application on the blockchain. For example, Uniswap is a decentralized application that allows users to swap out Ethereum tokens for other Ethereum tokens. And even though they are a decentralized app, they also have their own token, the Uniswap token. This token is given out to those who invest in their platform, and it has the promise that eventually token holders can vote on changes in the future, and maybe even earn some of the profits from the trades. Next up, we have number two, which is security tokens. Security tokens are minted to represent ownership of another asset.
Wow. So people are already creating little like companies where the benefit is kind of like stock in the market, but the market is the cryptocurrency. Kind of cool. Kind of like giving tokens. That's crazy. That's kind of like giving tokens to your employees to buy, stocks in your business, which if countries are interested in cryptocurrency, then I feel like companies are going to start being interested in making their own cryptocurrencies, because companies like the one I work at, Starbucks, they give us a beanstalk, and every year on your anniversary with the company, get you're like stock, you get more shares in Starbucks stock as an employee. So in a way, it's kind of a communal, like, or I'm such a bad socialist. Employees own part of the company, right? Like a communal ownership. And that is a progressive and socialist kind of smart way of running a business. So cryptocurrency being used in that way, how I'm thinking for my project, how these other companies who are working in the crypto sphere are using it for their employees and their company. Very eye-opening.
For example, say you wanted to buy gold, but you didn't actually want to hold the gold. Someone could create a token that is tracked to the price of gold. So instead of actually owning the gold, you owned a representation of it, which technically would be much safer because it is much more difficult to hack an Ethereum token than it is to break into someone's house. Now the tricky part here is that there should be a real asset behind it. For example, I could create a gold token, ask you to invest in it, and not have any gold. Next up, we have number 3, which are transactional tokens. Transactional tokens are used as a fast and easy way to transfer money. If we think of the coin XDAI, it is currently pegged to than it is to break into someone's house. Someone could create a token that is tracked to the price of gold. So instead of actually owning the gold, you owned a representation of it, which technically would be much safer because it is much more difficult to hack an Ethereum token than it is to break into someone's house. Now the tricky part here is that there should be a real asset behind it. For example, I could create a gold token, ask you to invest in it, and not have any gold. Next up, we have number 3, which are transactional tokens. Transactional tokens are used as a fast and easy way to transfer money. If we think of the coin XDAI, it is currently pegged to the United States dollar, and it's easy for people to pay for, say, maybe coffee, or buying that shirt you like at that local store. You can use it the same as cash, however, the expenses of it are super low. Right now, the transaction fee is 0.000021 United States dollars, and that is ridiculously low. To give you an idea of how cheap that fee is, you could make over 47,000 transactions and only pay $1 in fees for them all. Try doing that on PayPal or through a bank wire. Number 4 is utility tokens. So utility tokens are tokens that have a value tied to their ownership. For example, Basic Attention Token is an Ethereum token that can be used to advertise on the Brave browser. In other words, if I wanted to advertise this YouTube channel on the Brave web browser, I could do so very easily with my Basic Attention Token. In other words, utility tokens can actually do something. Security tokens don't do anything, you just buy them and hold them, but a utility token can actually be used for a commercial intent. Lastly, we have number 5, which is governance tokens. Governance tokens allow token holders to vote on certain things. For example, Uniswap could be a governance token in a future version of the Uniswap exchange. Token holders could choose to vote to raise the fee of a Uniswap trade from 0.3% to 0.6%, and everyone with a token would be allowed to vote on that change. The decision with the most votes chooses the winner, so you actually have more voting power by holding more tokens. Obviously, there's a pretty good reason to hold more tokens. By holding more, you can actually control the platform more. But this comes up with the problem of the authority being centralized. But we'll save that for another video. Now that we've went over the different types of tokens, hopefully you understand why we need them and how some of them work. If you've enjoyed this video, we highly recommend checking out some of our other videos, which Brave browser. In other words, if I wanted to advertise this YouTube channel on the Brave web browser, I could do so very easily with my Basic Attention Token. In other words, utility tokens can actually do something.
There's like different types of tokens. This is fascinating. I'm fascinated at 12:57 tonight. Okay. Well, I won't bore I won't bore you kids anymore. I'll get going out of here. I'll take my notes on my own. Done enough learning tonight, boys. Y'all go to bed now, you hear? Alright. Good night. Thanks for stopping in, Zor. Oh yeah, we gotta give people their their points, their scoreboard points here. We got Zor racking up another 10 at 195. Good God, Zer. And oh my gosh, we have a new person on the scoreboard. Number 8 coming in. We got Zooters. Gotta spell that right. Z 0 EERZ. Nice. With a big old 10 there. Bam. All right. Looking good. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for stopping in again, everyone who did. Late tonight. Appreciate that. Thanks for sticking around watching stuff about banking. and Bitcoin, you know, cryptocurrencies. Love it. I'm going to write some notes before I go to bed and journal. Hope you're doing your wind downs tonight. Sorry we didn't get to share any wind down practices together tonight. Maybe next time. But I hope everyone's sleeping soundly who was in here. Love you guys. Peace and love to the world forever, ever, and